Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. And the propaganda war, the disinformation, the misinformation from official and unofficial sources is really heating up over South Africa after President Trump simply told South Africa that we're no longer giving financial assistance to a country that works against our national interest, and then made an offer to those who feel oppressed by the government, who are identified as Afrikaners, that they could move to the front of the queue for the refugee resettlement program here in the States. That's it. No threats, no sanctions were leveled against South Africa, no claims, no travel restrictions against any officials, no threats whatsoever. That's not how it's being portrayed in the media and by the ANC, who are striking back with their propaganda friends. The ANC and its media wings, also known as the legacy media, are coming out swinging, and they are not alone. The ANC, legacy media, and social media clowns are twisting the abusive expropriation without compensation law into a racial issue, making false claims about land, equivocating on the impact of the law, and distorting the argument at every turn. Their willing accomplices, including the New York Times, which ran a dishonest article today, are misleading the public. Meanwhile, Julius Malema has opened his considerably large yap yet again, starting or responding to a Twitter war with Elon Musk. Juju makes it very clear that South Africa will confiscate land, and there is nothing that President Trump can do about it.
Categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us.
Now, after stating emphatically that South Africa will steal land from lawful property owners, Malema goes on to claim that President Trump misunderstands what is simply a mild and cosmetic intervention.
His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention.
Now, he has no shame about making the ludicrous statement that it's a mild and cosmetic intervention after claiming they're going to take land without compensation. Okay, you might argue that the economic freedom fighters and Julius Malema are not in power. They don't control the government, and they're losing influence. Fair enough. So let's not panic. Perhaps the ANC is correct. Trump simply misunderstood. No? Well, I suppose we need the receipts, so to speak. Let's see what the ANC itself has to say on the matter. Now, here are a few of their countless statements about the expropriation without compensation law. In 2018, when this was introduced, President Ramaphosa announced that the ANC had officially resolved to amend the Constitution to explicitly allow for expropriation without compensation, land expropriation. In December 2021, after the attempt to amend the Constitution had failed, then Minister of Justice Ronnie Lamola, now Foreign Minister, stated changing the Constitution was just one instrument we could have used. The matter is now ended. We will now use our simple majority to pass laws that will allow for expropriation without compensation. But Trump misunderstands them. In January of 2022, President Ramaphosa echoed those statements when he said the ANC will implement its resolution on the expropriation of land without compensation, despite the refusal of other parties in parliament. President Ramaphosa, to the African National Congress Manifesto Review Rally in 2023, on the matter of Expropriation Act, enabling expropriation without compensation, again emphasized, we will pass the expropriation bill and will grant the state the authority to expropriate land for public purposes or interest and establish that nil or zero rand compensation will be deemed just and equitable in accordance with the law. How is Trump misunderstanding this? These are their own statements, 2018, 2021, 2022, 2023. And if that's not enough, in 2024, Deputy President Paul Mashatile reaffirmed the government's commitment to expropriation of land without compensation. On the matter of without compensation and nil compensation regarding the Expropriation Act, he said the following. He said, it may well be that you have issues with the wording thereof, but the intention is to achieve exactly that we need to expropriate land without compensation where applicable. We use the words in the act that we should expropriate land if it's in the public interest. The issue of nil compensation, I'll look at it, but my sense is nil compensation is that you don't pay. And there you have it, folks, in their own words. Year after year after year, the ANC has told the world that they're going to steal land and give you nothing, and that that's just. And now they're denying that they're not going to steal land. Then why did you pass the law? Seriously. Oh, my goodness. I don't mean to laugh, but it's pathetic. Now, amidst the blatant lying by the African National Congress, the silence from the Democratic Alliance, complicity from Agri-SA, and yellow journalism from legacy media, we have Elon Musk pouring gas on the flames. Musk went to X to go after Malema, inartfully choosing to post a video of when Malema threatened Athol Trollop with terroristic cutting the throat of whiteness threat several years ago.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Musk labeled Malema an international criminal and called for sanctions against Juju. Malema's racist insults that followed were hardly surprising. And he said, "I really think that you have entirely lost your left brain. A typical spoiled brat and direct beneficiary of apartheid whiteness." Elon Musk made his fortune in America, not South Africa, and left South Africa after graduate high school. "I know black people look the same to you, typical racists." Well, that would be something a racist would say. "Look closer and you will realize that those are two different people. America is exposing us to its stupidity. No, South Africa is exposing us to its blatant racism and its straight-faced ability to lie to the public. I don't care about your sanctions. I will never stop fighting for black people to be equal to white people," as if you ever actually fought for that. And if that makes me an international criminal, I'm proud to be one. Well, I don't know if you're an international criminal, but you're clearly an ass. Now, the problem is that the statement is from years ago, and today black supremacists are explaining away the statement, claiming Malema was being metaphorical.
I think that it's a tragedy of a lack of education. And a lack of understanding of turns of phrase and metaphors. Because we've explained this not only post-accident, because we were at the time removing Athol Trollip, who was the mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay.
Perhaps, but the intent was indisputable, that Malema wanted to stir racial tension. Otherwise, he would never have said white, cutting the throat of the existing order, but not of white. Sadly, Elon Musk did not bother to repost the most damaging Malema video, where he said, "We are not calling for the mass killing of whites, at least not yet."
We are not calling for the slaughtering of white people, at least for now.
Elon Musk is not helping the situation. Black racists are burning up social media, threatening the safety and the very lives of white South Africans over things they had nothing to do with. A statement by President Trump that they had no control over, threatening their very lives. And the government is doing nothing to protect the safety of people who are in danger now. Meanwhile, the ANC and the corrupt South African media keep stoking the coals, attacking President Trump and accusing him of what they are guilty of, misinformation, or in this case, coming from the government of South Africa. That makes it disinformation. In other words, propaganda. Last night, I presented 3 articles in legacy media from South Africa that intentionally misled the public. One from News 24, in which they used a photograph from the multi-party charter to imply that opposition parties had gotten together and roundly came out condemning President Trump's comments. Now, many have said they condemn it, but they haven't come together. It was a misleading photograph, and that's misinformation. The IOL also had a misleading article, and the Times Live as well. Folks, it's all out of control. The adults need to step in and intervene. This is like a food fight in the cafeteria in high school. The only adult here is President Trump, who hasn't bullied South Africa, who hasn't threatened South Africa. He simply told South Africa the gravy train is over. You're working against our national interests. There you go. It's time for reasonable, cogent adults to step up and calm the temperatures in South Africa. You will not be getting future aid, and that's the end of it. You screwed the pooch, ANC. You will reap the rewards of your miserable foreign policy decisions. That's your cross to bear, not Donald Trump's. If you want that aid back, then perhaps you should stop poking America in the eye every single day, misleading the world, lying about America, attacking President Trump. It isn't going to work. He's not stupid. You are playing checkers with a man playing 3-dimensional chess. You don't stand a prayer in this fight. So I'd suggest calming down and stop being abusive and try to find a way to work yourself back to a decent position. What say you, South Africa? Cheers.